Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Morning, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. How are things in Glockamora? That wasn't a rhetorical question. If there's anyone listening in Glockamora, I genuinely want to know how things are today.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
That was Oh Innocence, A-U-X. You know, that French word. Fancy dress.
Orcs. Like orcs. Like an
See,
orcs lead.
You've broken the golden rule of talking about the records.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe it.
Well, you just said not to.
I just said before this, don't talk about that because we get repeated on the other channels and it confuses people because we'll be following other songs. And Alan Cochrane, who sits at my left hand, completely ignored that.
It's a bad start, that's for sure.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Those two characters.
I didn't talk about the record.
No, you see, you've talked about it now. Of course, the bloke who has to edit this so that it can be repeated in an hour is having a mare.
Just leave it all in.
Is he having a Flanders mare? Google it.
A Flanders mare. I'm imagining a large horse.
No.
No, I didn't say it was anything to do with that. I'm imagining a large horse.
He often is.
Yeah, I find it's good to have something else to think about during the show. Today, I've gone equine and big. And they're showing those things on the telly of close-ups of fat people.
How many times have I told you, you can't just sit here watching the telly, we're doing a radio show.
Sorry, shall we start again? Hello, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. And, well, that's good. I asked earlier how are things in Glockamora, and I still haven't heard anything.
Well, they'll text in.
Will they?
Yes.
How many listeners do we have in Glockamora? Yeah, 8, 12, 15. If because I've heard that song many times. My dad used to sing "How are things in Glockamora," and I've no idea how things are there. Not a clue.
They could be in boom, they could be in bust. We're unaware.
I don't know what the architecture's like. I don't know any of the local sites or.
Yeah.
Is there any famous people from Glockamora? Who can say?
Well,
I don't completely know where it is.
No.
I'm thinking Ireland. That's about it.
Oh, I thought it sounded very Scottish.
Yeah,
Did
me
you?
too.
Oh dear, I assumed it was I don't think my dad ever did Scottish songs.
I always think Ori is Scottish and Alan is Irish.
How are things
What's that
in
got to
Mull
do-
of Kintyre? I wonder how the Mull of Kintyre is.
He never sang that.
I'll bet.
I would love to have heard my dad suddenly go, "Far have I travelled." Anyway, look, this is not. I feel we've lost 70% of our listeners. Because people who listen on the radio, you know, their fingers are never very far from the dial.
No.
I don't agree. They'll be busy. They'll be doing stuff. You know, you get them ready.
They won't be doing it. Well, our listeners,
They'll be pottering around the kitchen.
they won't. Our average listener is a 38-year-old male in a black tour T-shirt and Dunlop trainers. He's not. They don't potter.
No.
They
They have little
They
ladies
slide.
pottering for them.
They don't have that.
Don't
They're
they?
in bed sits. And what's more, they're in bed at this stage. They don't potter, these people.
Oh. Well, when they get to the stage of life where they're pottering, they're going to love it, aren't they?
They're looking across the bed sitting out their jeans on the floor.
And probably all the
Cans.
change out the pockets just spilled out and
cans
everything.
and stuff,
Yeah.
thinking, oh, that's what they're thinking. So, that's what I always like about the show. We can just basically do what we like. Too hungover to reach the dial. And the remote is in a pool of sick. Don't want to touch that. Anyway, so I went, I guess what?
What, Frank?
I experienced for the first time in my life this week a cinema throwout.
What?
Do you know what a throwout is?
No, funnily enough.
Is this someone being ejected from a cinema?
Oh, no,
for misbehaving?
that wouldn't be the first time I was thrown out of Return of a Man Called Horse for fighting.
Were you really?
Fighting!
I was, yeah.
I was thrown out of my school chess club for fighting, but this sounds like a story. The Man Called Horse.
Out of a chess? Wow, what kind of a fight was that?
Well, it was just a fight broke out.
Yeah.
I think I know this about you. I think you might have boasted about this before.
Yeah, I have,
Was it a
yeah.
free-form fight, or did you have to go follow a diagonal?
Yeah, it was.
And the person could only go to the square either side of you.
Yeah,
Difficult.
the bloke that was attacking me was foxed by my Sicilian defence. There we go. Chucking a chess
Loving
term.
it,
Why
loving
not?
it. Sicilian defence. All together now. That's why I've been good at international chess. Because as soon as they played the Sicilian defence, I'd go... and basically make them an offer they couldn't refuse. Anyway, a throw-out is when you're in an audience and someone on stage throws out free stuff.
Oh, right, like a giveaway.
Like a nothing. Like nothing. I tend to be handed gifts in the traditional fashion when I go to
But
events.
you can't do that with a crowd.
Oh, I
Did
see.
the film you go and see take place in like a Radio 1 roadshow in about 1988 or something?
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah, it
T-shirt
did.
cannon, that sort of thing.
It did. It was Karate Kid. It was a special screening hosted by David Diddy Hamilton.
Not really.
At Bournemouth.
No.
No, it wasn't. Of course it wasn't, you fool. Such gullibility. Gullibility.
You've done a lot of singing today.
I have too much singing, probably. I'm just going to get rid of that last 30% that's hanging on. So, I'll tell you in a minute.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I went to the cinema,
Yeah.
and a man came out at the beginning and said, "Right, we're going to have a throw out," and he had quite a lot of merch.
I like the way that you think this is totally normal. A man comes out and says, "We're going to have a throw-out." That never happens to me at the cinema.
Well, you know, it was.
It was a complimentary ticket, was it? Was it some kind of preview?
No, it wasn't a complimentary ticket. It was a festival. It was a film.
Oh.
It was the
okay.
London Sci-Fi Film Festival.
Ah, right.
We've got there. You've squeezed that out of me.
You're embarrassed by this admission.
No, but
Did you think you were cooler when we thought that you were at the Karate Kid in Bournemouth?
Exactly.
He loves his sci-fi.
Anyway, you sound like my mum now. Oh, he loves Frank. Frank loves his sci-fi. Don't you? Tell him, Frank. Do you, darling?
So what happened with the throw-out, Frank?
Anyway, he said, right, we got some hats. Anyone want hats? And all the hands went up. Not mine, of course, because I'm no good with hats, as you may know.
I'm assuming nylon baseball caps rather than fedoras.
Well, they were baseball caps. Although you can get more distance with a fedora.
And also, you've got an umbrella hat, haven't you? So you don't need it.
Well, I
don't need another hat.
The fact is, with my head, you know, I have. How can I put this? In case you don't know me, I have an enormous brain, and obviously that needs to be housed in some way. So that's given me a big head, and I've yet to find a hat that will comfortably encompass it. So it's something I've had to give up on. Is hats in my life.
It's quite sorrowful sounding now, this.
Yeah, because I'm an admirer of hats.
Right.
But the only hat I've ever tried on that fit me was a Hessian with 2 eye holes, as worn by the Elephant Man.
I think you could rock a fez.
No, a fez just sits on top of me like a small... If you can imagine that the oceans were suddenly drained overnight and a buoy, or a buoy as the Americans call it, was left on top of a sort of mound in the sea. That's what a fez looks like on my head. If you can just hold on to that picture for a second. So anyway, I didn't go for the hat. And then there was bags.
Oh.
Right.
What sort of bag?
Well, I can't remember the name of them. The ones that you put with a string pull. What are they called?
Oh, like duffel bags.
Yeah, there's a modern name for it. It's
How
like
dare you suggesting my language is old-fashioned?
Sorry, everyone. Yeah, it's called something like a tog bag or something.
Oh, a
like that.
drawstring bag, maybe.
No, it's something like a tog bag. It's a
God's
drawstring
sake.
bag. Anything like a tog bag. 1 syllable.
579 radio dial is in the same class as record. These days, radios have buttons. I'm just saying we're all guilty of it.
Mine's got a dial.
Okay.
But I take your point. I am a little out of date on my terminology, but you know what I meant. If you don't like it, you know where the button is.
Thanks for...
Don't. Thanks for joining in.
think
I
we should
appreciate it.
Thank 579 for firing us that missive there. That's what he's done on it. He's fired us a missive.
Yes.
It's old school speaking, isn't it?
with his telephone dial.
Yes.
So,
Anyway,
T-shirts.
I didn't go for the. Is it like a log bag?
no.
I feel like you're
just
getting
a
bogged down
bag.
in the detail.
I am getting. At least I'm not getting bogged down. Don't know if you remember him, popular 1990s Australian homosexual.
It's a very niche reference.
I appeared on Liquid News with him.
Did you?
Yes.
Liquid News.
Yes.
God, and you thought Radio Dials was a blast from the past. Liquid News.
Yes.
How marvellous.
Myself, Bob Down, and the late Robert Palmer. Lovely.
Brilliant.
It was quite a show.
That's a good bill. I'd watch that. Yeah. So, occasionally, Liquid News is what Trevor McDonald will be in 30 years' time. When he's finally dissolved into the earth.
So you rejected the hat, Frank?
Yeah, but he did. Then he finally got to books. And I managed to catch a copy of Dreaming Void by Peter F. Hamilton. Now, Dreaming Void is... I think it's 640 pages. So when they started winging across the audience, it was and there was a lot of men in there who weren't nimble.
No.
They didn't appear nimble.
Sci-fi types aren't.
And but I took it out of the air. Like a dog with a frisbee. It was. It was yeah, I was pleased with myself. Slightly damaged in the catching, but I think that'll sort of make me smile in the memory of it.
Yeah.
One-handed?
I went two-handed. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I played safe. I think I'm not one of those goalkeeper types who thinks, well, I can get this two-handed, but I use one hand because it's more spectacular. You know, I was after safety.
Safety first.
Yeah, so I got myself a nice big fat paperback book. And what was brilliant about it is, as many of you all know, the Dreaming Void is the first in a trilogy.
Oh, that's good.
That's good, because imagine catching the third in a trilogy. You'd have caught what you think is a freebie, but you've actually committed yourself to buying 2 books.
Yeah, you're 16 quid down there straight away with
you
one
think, well, I caught it in all innocence, and now I've got to go and buy 2 books I had no intention of buying. That's those moments when a throw-out goes bad.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, there was some controversy earlier. No, not controversy.
Really?
Yeah.
Controversial.
Controversial.
The name for a duffel/drawstring bag.
Yes.
As was thrown out at your sci-fi film.
something like it's a one syllable, like a log bag or something like that.
Tote bag people are texting in.
That's it.
No, that's not it.
That's it.
Emily's not having it.
The man said, "I've got some tote bags."
No, but he was incorrect as well.
He said, I got tote bags, books, hats. I got pig iron. I got all pig iron. He never said
Haven't
that.
heard pig
a
iron for a
tote
while.
is a leather, sturdy sort of shopper. That's a tote.
We should explain to any new listeners that Emily has a day job in high fashion and knows such things.
She does know about high
Fashion
fashion,
corner.
but I'm talking low fashion. I'm talking sci-fi tote bags.
I'm not sure the skills are transferable from InStyle magazine to a sci-fi film.
Hold on a minute. This is getting a bit sci-fi-ist.
Yes, you're
It's
right,
not.
Frank.
It's just teasing.
Okay. I'm fine with teasing.
It's a tote bag. It says
My
tote bag. We've
favourite
had
celebrity
3 people.
hairdresser is Mr. Teasy Weezy Raymond.
Eh?
Yeah, do you remember him?
No.
No, you see, everyone this week, of course, it's Vidal this, Vidal that, but Mr. Teasy Weezy Raymond was a pioneer in the haircutting business.
Was he?
Yeah.
Don't look to me.
he
Well,
real?
I think tote bag is correct.
Okay.
Let's go with...
You know that bit in Pork Salad Annie by Elvis Presley when she goes and picks the pork salads, which is like, you know, these green things that grow, and carry it home in a... What did she... Is that a tote sack? Carried it home in a tote sack. Too much singing, you're right.
I'm
You're
enjoying
right.
your
I
singing
don't think I
this
said
morning.
too much. I think I said a lot.
Oh, did you? I could have sworn you said too much. Let's listen back to that. Too much singing. There you go.
I knew I was going to be impersonated.
There you go. That's
I rather
brilliant.
like it, Frank.
So yes, so I was talking about throwouts when you're in
Yes.
an audience. I'd love to know actually if any of our listeners have caught a throwout. Because it's the first one I've ever caught. I've been going to West Bromwich Albion, Well, I saw my first game in 1967. I've never touched the match ball.
Haven't you?
Now, you would think at some point in that
What
ball
about
would have
a
come into
footballer shirt? I've touched some of those.
Yes, but you're talking about a dress shirt after a beautiful night out. I imagine you did breakfast wearing that same shirt the next morning, am I right?
I might have.
Well, anyway, I have once touched a footballer's shirt post-game. It was on his back. So one time I ever ran on the pitch, I put my hand on the back of a player called Dick Kruzwicki.
Lovely.
And I must say he was clammy in the extreme.
Well,
Yes.
he's been running about for 94 minutes.
I hadn't thought it through.
But, you see, I prefer it at a football match, Frank, because the demographic, if I may call them that, the fans, they're a bit more au fait with the whole concept of a throw-out. Like at Wimbledon, it puts me on edge.
I'd say a throw-in was the...
Very good, Frank.
Yes.
Lovely work.
I wonder if you could have a foul throw-out and you have to actually give it back. I hate... You know, on telly sometimes you'll see a footballer take his shirt off and throw it into the crowd at the end of a game. I always watch that with great intensity and alacrity. Not alacrity, that's the wrong word. It worries me, basically.
Anxiety.
Anxiety will do. Yes, are you working through these alphabetically? No, it really upsets me because you see the shirt go into the crowd and there's always like a small child or a gentle person of some kind who goes for that shirt, and you think, now that's someone who'll treasure that shirt forever. How lovely. They'll always have that. They'll be passed on through the family. And then some oik will go in who is nowhere near him. What does it mean? He was two people. And they'll go and they'll roughly take the shirt. You know they're going to put it on eBay and then spend the money on drugs. And for me, in that moment, that's broken Britain right there. And I hate seeing it happen. I don't throw stuff into the audience crowd. Say, I'm going to put this shirt up for an audience and then have a poetry competition organised through the official programme.
I love a football audience.
Yeah, exactly. And the interval. I mean, a pie at the interval. Lovely.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we were talking about things, about throw-outs, things being thrown out into the crowd. 508. Frank, I still have a ball in my shed which was kicked into the Bromley Road by Darren Bradley.
Well...
That's from Andy in Cheadle Hume, and he says not a referee, which I think is quite a fine callback.
Oh, yes, because I was on about referees always come from places with two names, like Newton Abbott.
Milton Keynes. I think we ran through them all, didn't we?
I think we did, yeah.
Except Cheadle Hume, we never got that.
Milton Keynes might be a bit metropolitan for a referee.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah, it's
is
more
it
like
Cheadle
Chipping
Hume?
Norton.
Oh,
I
right.
said Hume. That's my equivalent of Descartes this week.
What did you say?
I said Cheadle Hume, I think.
Oh,
Sorry.
did
It is
you?
Hume.
Okay.
I think we said the same thing.
Again, embarrassing.
Oh, that was mortifying last week with the Descartes. Anyway, actually, it's a good job that you went to a sci-fi thing rather than, like, if you go to a martial arts film, do they do product tie-in throwouts? Like, you sit in the audience and they throw out a shuriken throwing star or something.
That would be...
You just get some nunchucks in your head.
No, I used to...
a Bruce Lee film.
I had some numchuckers, we called them. You call them numchucks?
I thought they were called nunchuckers. Yeah.
Numchuckers, we called
I
them.
don't think it was an M, I think it was an N.
Well...
Oh, now the text will blow up, won't they?
No, anyway, maybe it differed in Birmingham to the north of England, I don't know. But yeah, I found them uncontrollable. I found you could get them going, but you couldn't.
It's difficult to put the brakes on it.
And every now and again you'd get one really hard across the side of the head. I mean, this is a weapon that's supposed to be aimed at others. It was a weapon that was... it had one of the few weapons that had a sort of sense of true democracy about it. It might hit someone else, it might hit you. Yeah, you never knew whose side it was on. That's what put me off the nom-chackers.
I liked Cat o' Nine Tails.
Yeah.
Good story. The sci-fi
Knotted
thing.
or loose?
I prefer loose.
I used to like 6 knotted and 3 loose.
Right. For a bit of variety. You never know what you're getting.
I've seen Cat o' Nine Tails on Absolute Radio this morning.
Yes.
I wanted
knew
to
a
ask
French
you about-
bloke. He liked 7 knotted and 2 loose. His
Toulouse.
nickname was Toulouse Lautrec. I'm terribly sorry, everyone. Toulouse Le Chat, he was called. Is that right? Is that right for French? For a cat? Le Chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. But someone will text.
No, I'm sure. I'm confident that's right.
On the subject of the sci-fi thing, I might make a departure from non-sci-fi reading, and
I thought you meant from Earth.
No, I've been considering getting
some sort of craft on eBay.
I know you're a big fan of the talking book, aren't you?
He loves those in the car. On the way
not
to
just
Birmingham.
in the car. I mean, I'm on chapter 22 of Dracula now. I'm near the end.
Oh, are you?
Oh.
Well,
yeah.
basically, I heard somebody...
He's not caught, but he's in trouble.
Van Helsing's all over it at this stage.
Van Helsing's all over him like a
cheap cloak.
Yeah, like a cheap cloak, exactly.
Well, we can talk about Dracula during a record, perhaps.
Yeah, you're quite right.
But first of all, I need to do some information gathering and get a recommendation off you.
Okay.
I heard somebody on a different radio station discussing Philip K. Dick and saying how much they enjoyed it, and I thought, maybe I'll give that a go.
What radio station was that? What, Kiss FM?
I'm going to be honest,
Philip K. Dick Hour?
It was Radio 4.
Oh, well, of course it was.
I'm going to be absolutely honest there. But
Well,
I didn't think it was Andy Gray.
when the person recommended it, I thought, maybe I should give this Philip K. Dick chap a go. And I've got quite a bit of driving coming up. I thought maybe I'll get a Philip K. Dick talking book.
Well, you may know, every now and again on this show, regular listeners will know that Holly Walsh is one of our repertory company, and she bought me a book last time she was on. So as a sort of a response, I sent her through Amazon. I mean the company, not by boat. I sent her the Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch by Philip K. Dick, and she sent me an email saying thank you for your book. She said I'll send you a report when I've read it. Nothing.
Oh, she maybe didn't like it, Frank.
No, I know that, but that's fine. But it's difficult, isn't it? Whenever you recommend a book like that people there's a pressure. Then every time I see that person, I say, "How's the book going?" And it's difficult.
I see. Actually, I've just realised I've been giving out quite a lot of recommendations recently, but I'm not sure how well I take them.
No,
when other people, it's like if somebody suggests that you watch a film that they've seen before together. You're not going to do that, are you? Because then you're feeling pressurised.
I can't do that. The potential mortificado of them not liking my choice is too much to bear.
Yeah, well, the worst thing I have is when someone said, "Oh, I saw a blah blah. Oh, it's very you. You'd love it. I'd know."
Oh.
Somebody said to me, "Donnie Darko, that film was made for you." I watched it. 10 minutes in, I'm thinking, I have never been so insulted. For the whole. So that's the worst possible. Anyway, we'll listen to some adverts and I'll tell you some good audio books to get.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
What else?
Well, we've had a few texts in from people that have caught things in throwouts, as you requested.
God, I thought that was going to be Tales from Ibiza.
Throwouts is the whole
Falaraki
thing.
nightmares.
It turns out,
People
Frank.
who've caught things on holiday. Really? Caught things in throwouts, Lucky?
Yes.
In case you just turned on, I caught my first ever thing when things are thrown into the audience, I caught my first ever one
We called it
week.
Scramble when I was a child, just
Did
in
you?
case any North London listeners. Yeah, you'd say, someone would shout Scramble, and then you'd throw out your Star Wars cards, and then someone would catch them.
Oh, well, when I was a schoolboy in Scotland and there was a wedding on, there was a scramble where whoever was the driver of the wedding car would get loads of what they called smash then, meaning small coins, like change.
Oh, not the potato.
Like a fistful of
Fistful
change.
of coins, yeah.
And as the wedding car drove off, they would throw it out of the window, and so it would all go up in the air, and then all the kids would run in and try and get a few pennies. It sounds like it's from
I bet
Victorian
Alan was
era.
right in the centre of that melee, don't you, Frank?
It's arguably the most Scottish anecdote I've ever. Children scrabbling in the street for
money.
coins. Oh, for goodness
It
sake!
does sound like a different time, doesn't
I
it?
suppose the ultimate wedding throwout is the bouquet. of
Oh, the
course.
bouquet.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, what a throwout that is.
I don't think I've ever caught one. I'd probably remember, wouldn't I?
I don't think you're supposed to catch. It depends.
No.
Maybe that'd be a civil partnership.
No, that'll be at David Furnish and Elton John's.
Yeah.
I played goalkeeper quite a lot, and I still can't get rid of those instincts. So if it goes
I
up
don't
high,
like the throwing of the
there.
bouquet, just because there's a lot of jostling and pastels. I find those women get nasty.
Well, some women they really want that bouquet more than they want anything in the world.
The bridesmaid in goalie gloves. You think, hang on, she's after it.
The baseball mitt. Baseball mitt. Yes. So we were talking about audiobooks, and now have you got a CD player in your car? Is that the idea?
I don't like to brag, but I've got a 6 CD multi-changer.
Well, let me tell you something.
Front loading as well, not in the boot. Not in the boot.
36. We've got an 8-track.
No, have you? I genuinely believe that as well. I'm really gullible on today's show.
My view, I just sing in the car.
You sing?
I don't need. I keep music live in the car. That's my.
Right. Yeah. No repeat guarantees. Singing live.
Well, I can't. I mean, I will do. I spent the night in Frisco and every kind of disco, probably 50 times during a journey.
But anyway, yes, I have a 6 CD multi-changer.
The reason I ask you that is because I have connections in the audiobooks. I am, as you know, the voice of Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm told now that most audiobooks they don't make CD anymore. They go straight onto MP3.
Oh,
Is that right?
So
Can I just say, Frank, you use that language beautifully. Very confident use of the language, technical terms.
Thank you very much.
I don't like to show off, but
I'm trying to get back from Radio Dial.
I also have an iPhone with my car has one of those little mini jack leads, so I can play my iPhone in the car.
Oh.
I feel like I am showing off, but they're quite standard kit now.
Well, you say that. Not to the 38-year-old men in black T-shirts listening to this show.
What are they driving? That'd be a good text. What are you driving these days?
You don't want to be driving when you're drinking that much. I find Newcastle Brown Ale and driving just don't go together.
The only thing they drive is the tour bus.
When you said that,
and that's done 5k, I'm going to have to ramp it.
5k. When you said that you were recommended Donnie Darko and didn't like it, Matt from Guildford has texted in, I like Donnie Darko but wouldn't have recommended it. If I was thinking of a movie for Frank, he's put a question mark and a ...
Right.
Nice little bit of suspense created in the text message.
He's like Tarrant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Kez, that's what he said he'd recommend for you.
Oh, lovely.
Really?
I can't tell you how many times Kez has been recommended for me and I still haven't.
I was going to say that's a bit more up your strata.
Still never seen Kez.
Surely he means you, doesn't he? Because it's northern and
northern.
rather down at heel.
Perhaps it means you. I'm doing all right, thanks. My car's got a mini jack aux lead in it.
Yeah, you're quite right. Well, if you've got an aux lead, of course you could be in Kes. It's slightly strange, but I think it was worth the effort in the end. Okay, we've had some. We'll do it. We'll do it after because we've had some texts about throwouts. I've become obsessed now with throwouts. That's really all I care about.
And also, what do you recommend? What do you recommend I read next?
What do you mean? What do you listen to next?
Or read? Like, it's still reading, isn't it?
I just finished one of the greatest books I've ever read, and I'm not.
Oh, lovely.
Don't take this as a recommendation, but I put it down and I thought that was a masterpiece. Right? I'll tell you during the adverts.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Alan Cochrane and Emily Dean. If you want to text us about anything at all, we're on 8 12 15. How do you like them apples?
Well,
in fact, people have been texting about things that they've caught in throwouts.
Yeah, we were talking about when stuff's thrown into the audience. Have you ever caught anything good?
Frank, I was at a Stray Cats concert, not me.
You're reading this out, are you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
See, you're so naturalistic, I didn't know. You should act.
This is,
Oh, you did. Yeah, what happened?
This is from Ask My Parents. Still looking for that money.
Oh, it's Gary Coleman
It
syndrome.
really is. This is from Mike, peeling potatoes. He's at my chippy in Fife. Again, not my chippy in Fife.
No.
I was at a Stray Cats concert at the infamous Eric's in Liverpool. When Brian Setzer handed his bottle of beer into the audience, I got it and drank it. The good old days when you could actually touch the bands.
Yes. Well,
There you go,
I've
Mike.
done my bit to break down that barrier over the years.
Me too.
I was handed a bottle of beer by Ray Davies, the Kinks frontman. Light ale.
Oh,
It
lovely.
was.
Really?
And I kept that bottle for years. See, there was no eBay in those days.
No, you just kept it.
Yes, it was a marvellous souvenir.
Can I just say, we've just had a text in from Christine saying, thanks, Alan, for reminding me of the scrambles of my childhood. One particularly memorable one was when Kenny Dalgleish got married at our local church. All the wee boys, that proves she's Scottish, wee boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the wee boys in the neighbourhood were there, and it was a pretty substantial amount of pennies chucked out of the car. Well, he was a footballer. He'd have been earning it.
I actually think it was.
You can imagine the resulting carnage. And let's all just take a moment to do that, shall we?
Yeah. Brilliant. I imagine him still pretty grumpy. That was his wedding day.
Yes.
Yeah, he's probably, not happy
Do you
about
take
the
this woman
officiating.
to be your lawful wedded wife? Pardon? No, do you? Sorry, everyone. Is anyone know what he's... That's what it would have been like. I wonder how much Kenny threw out the window, because he must have been on in those days.
He must
Probably
have been
10
on.
grand a week.
Yeah.
A lot of money back then.
186, Dear Frank the Cockerel and Emily, my throw-out was catching a football thrown by Matthew Corbett at a City show in Croydon in 1995.
Had he run out of Sooty-related merchandise, do you think? And he was just thinking, I've got a ball in the boot of the car, that'll
if
do.
he threw a sooty, you'd have a heart attack, wouldn't you? Because you'd think he was just making a grand gesture and it had flown off. And then what do you do? Because Sooty, when he doesn't have a hand in him, it'd be like catching the corpse of Sooty.
Do you know what Matthew Corbett
It'd be
made?
like,
He made
the
a-
Ayatollah's funeral. All bouncing Sooty round to each other like that. Like sort of a terrible, sort of a mortality mix crowd surf with Sooty. And the terrible silence of it. The crowd is silent as Sooty himself.
Yeah.
All you can just hear is like hands against acrylic fibre.
what people really want to hear is that squeaking.
That's sweet.
Sooty. That's sweet, yeah. She's not there.
Matthew Corbett made a little
No,
joke as well.
Sweep is in the wings thinking this is my moment. Finally. Cometh the hour, cometh the dog. That's what he's doing.
Matthew Corbett said, you could play for Palace. He made a little joke when the guy threw it
He
back.
always had a line.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that aspect.
No,
of his life.
comically. Oh no, I the very thought of that. Oh no, making Sooty hold the £10 note. Morally incorrect.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had some more texts about throwouts.
Go on.
This is from 553. I was handed a bottle of Blue Nun by Alex Harvey at a gig at Barbarella's in Brum. That's Yvette in West Brom.
Brilliant. Blue Nun.
Blue Nun
It's got
brings back
everything.
memories, doesn't it?
Barbarella's, yeah.
Who's Alex Harvey?
Alex Harvey was the sensational Alex Harvey band was a fabulous band. I saw them many times. It was sort of that sort of rock theatre. Used to have a sort of lectern with a big candle on it and read from.
Epic rock. That sounds very up our Keith Strasser.
Rambo coming to the rescue. Scottish, you'd have liked him, Alan.
I was going to say,
he
were
was-
they...
Very Scottish.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I was about to ask, were they Midlands-based? 'Cause,
No.
You know, the text is from West Brom.
He always used to wear a black and white hooped rugby shirt,
Oh,
Oh, lovely.
but often with a sort of pirate coat he'd wear it. And I remember buying one of those black and white hoop rugby shirts just so I could be like Alex Harvey. And unfortunately, that night, whilst listening to Eddie and the Hot Rods' new album, I got very drunk, and when I woke up, I'm afraid I'd rather disgrace myself.
I don't like the vagueness here.
No, and I don't know quite how to put it, but there was steam in the air, and the,
Oh, my God.
and the black stripes had run into the white stripes. That sounds like some sort of road accident coming out of Glastonbury.
Can I tell you, Daisy, the producer, actually shook her head and pursed her lips when you did that. She
I'm sorry.
pursed her lips.
I'm sorry, Daisy. That's my memories of the sensational Alex Harvey band. But really, check them out. Check them out. They are
Yeah,
fabulous.
can't wait now after that. Frank, we've had another text as well. This is more throwouts. I have to say they're loving these throwouts
Yeah.
this week. Hi, when I was about 7, I was at a pantomime. During the show, they threw out sweets to us, and a Mars bar bounced off my head and was caught by the kid sitting behind me.
I love
261.
that. To have got that close to a throw-out that it actually hit you on the head and not have it. You see, some children would have said, mate, you have this, you
Yeah.
know, you suffered for it. But no, gone.
We've just had a text in. I have half an inflatable banana thrown into the crowd by the alien sex fiend at Manchester Poly in 1990.
Wow.
Do you know what? I love a Manchester Poly anecdote.
So it was torn apart as they seized upon it.
Well, let's imagine that. Whether or not they came to an amicable agreement and got some scissors out, but I prefer the idea that it was torn apart by these banana fans and alien sex fiend fans at Manchester Poly.
I like the idea that it was someone had the peel and someone had the white inner.
Someone had the banana.
Yeah.
I don't think they have real bananas in them, but I like the idea.
Did they not move on to that level of sophistication? There's an inflatable banana inside an inflatable banana
That would be
skin.
good.
That'll come next.
That's
don't
a gap
worry.
in the market, isn't it?
Once again, you've heard it first on this show. That's all I can say. There was dog tooth check, I think we pioneered on here.
Did we?
Yeah. There was no dog tooth. I just had the idea for it one day whilst messing about with a ramshackle jigsaw.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in that I have to tell you about as regards throwouts being caught by people. This contains a reference to a childhood comedy hero of mine, Saw Stu Francis in Panto in Oxford. He threw some stuff out and I caught it. I got very excited and unwrapped it, only to find that it was just a ball of paper.
Oh, what?
My devastation was worsened by my sister's delight at my misfortune. Cheers, Nick. I love that. I mean, I think that's a really funny thing to do, to throw out, pretend throwouts.
It's a terrible thing to do.
It's really
funny.
tight.
It's really funny.
What worries me about Stu, I could crush a grape, Francis, is I bet that he had some sort of sponsorship which gave him toys and various things to throw, and he thought, no, I'm having these.
They were in the garage.
Yeah, I bet there's espionage at the heart of that story.
And 047, my absolute all-time favourite, Dave Bartram of Shawaddy Waddy, threw me his bootlace tie when it fell off at a gig last year.
Excellent.
I still have it in all
last
his will.
year.
He's still
Wow.
got it, Frank Bartram.
A bootlace tie last year.
Yes.
Yeah, Shawaddy is still. I had no idea they were.
Do you know, I love those Oil Barons ball ties.
I always think that Shawaddy were to rock and roll what Queen were to rock music.
You're a big fan of Queens, aren't
A
you?
sort of a colourful, jokey, not the real thing.
Like, it's like sort of an Oasis of the indie world.
Mm-hmm.
Frank, are you familiar with the work of Pudsey? I don't mean that bear with the funny spotty bandage.
Oh, you mean the
I mean the dog.
The other Pudsey.
The hunt.
It's a bit unfortunate, really, that he's chosen that bear's name. Because if Pudsey, the performing dog, gets mega, then I'm afraid the children in need will have to remain in need. Because people will think, well, that's not Pudsey, where's the dancing? They'll get no money out of me.
Well, he's getting a lot of PR.
In case you don't know, Britain's Got Talent is
Yes.
BGT.
a popular entertainment show on ITV, and it's the final tonight.
Oh, is it tonight?
Yeah, and one of the favourites is Pudsey the dog, who dances with a 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
And he's pretty, I have to say. There was a bit, she ended her routine last week, and she sort of fell to her knees, and the dog ran up and from behind, he sort of put his head on her shoulder and looked over her shoulder. It was one of the, I think it's the greatest moment I've ever seen on television, ever.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm including Vanessa Redgray's acceptance speech at the BAFTAs for the Lifetime Achievement, which was some of the fabulous, most high-powered gibberish I've ever heard in my life. Just random words. One of the great Dardarist acceptance speeches. But honestly, Pudsey looking over the girl's shoulder, I don't know her name, sorry, but looking over her shoulder
Who cares?
Was a beautiful.
I find...
Yeah, let's face
Frankly.
it, she's just the walking stick.
I
of
find
Pudsey. That's what she
Pudsey
is.
profoundly creepy. And I'll tell you for why, Frank. Because I don't like animals walking. I don't like seeing the pink skin exposed.
No, there isn't.
They're
one.
under-
It makes me... It's
Yeah,
like me
yeah.
having my appendix out and you can all see it. It's disgusting. It's like their innards. It's not right. And they shouldn't be standing. It looks like... And also it looks like a little white hairy man like Bernie Eccleston or something in a
Well,
fur coat. It makes me ill.
I have wondered about whether there could be a child in there. Wouldn't that be one of the great exposés of all time if she won and then it turned out there was a small local street urchin who she
Be a
paid
good
the odd
prank
tenner
as
to
well.
come and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgie Thompson inside or something.
Who is that?
She's the Sky Sportswoman. She's 4'11".
Is she really?
Oh,
I've
is
seen
she?
Georgie Thompson on the telly. I couldn't think you met her because she's sitting down whenever I see. But I'm never completely convinced by the people on talent shows. I always think they might be massive hoaxes.
Well, there's been some brouhaha this week, hasn't there? That apparently the the synchronised swimmers that are in there. Apparently they were.
There's no water in there, apparently.
That's why they're good at the underwater
Yeah, they're
bit.
just
Turns out
dancing.
it's fake
They're
water.
basically just dancing in glass cases.
Do you think it's like when you get those drinks that those mugs that have actually got fake drinking and you can drink it and it doesn't go down
yes.
like the level on the outside. It's like an inner. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You
I
know
know
what I'm
exactly.
describing.
Yeah.
Do you think the tanks are like that? There's
Yeah,
no
there's just
water
water
in
up
there.
the edges.
They're just doing handstands thinking this is easy.
I think if you tipped those tanks on their side, that their swimsuits would come off like those biros used to be able to get.
I just wish they'd wear more makeup, the synchronised swimmers. Never mind.
Can you get that
They-
kind of waterproof makeup?
Yeah, waterproof makeup.
You
yeah.
can
is
in
it
my
that good?
makeup room.
Oh, of course, you've got the
Very
whole room.
handy on reality television because there's all the crying, you see.
Very useful.
I'd recommend it.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
But apparently there's been a brouhaha about these swimmers because apparently the Britain's Got Talent people saw them and invited them on.
Oh, no.
But I just watched that, and because I know that unless they're singers, the Britain's Got Talent people, their thing after that is the novelty act in corporate entertainment, innit?
Are you suggesting Pudsey would only be a novelty act?
Yeah. But how many of those synchronised swimmers are there? Like 4 or 5? And I just see
Four.
that there's going to be an agent in an office going, right, I want £1,000 for them, and you're going to have to get a lot of water at the venue because they bring
I
their
know.
own tanks, but they're not bringing their own water.
No, difficult. Very difficult.
And then they've got to split that 4 ways after commission. I just worry about the break even.
I don't know where it's going to go.
No, exactly.
But another hoax, you see. So that's a child in the dog suit. No water in the tank. The opera singer, let's face it, is Rick Waller. Does he think we don't recognise him? It's Rick Waller.
Rick Waller.
Trying
we
again. Where the wig,
Trying
Rick?
again. Rick Waller trying again.
I'll have a go. I'm not sure if it'll work, but I'll wear the wig. See how it goes. Rick Waller there.
Lovely scent, Rick Waller. But apparently...
Is that right?
No. Apparently, Frank Clarkson has waded in.
Frank Clarkson.
Great comic.
Oh, Jeremy Clarkson.
Yes,
yeah.
he's upset, isn't he, with... Well, it's not the same show, but it's the Cowell Juggernaut, he called it.
Yeah.
He says that that's the reason that Top Gear won't be back on TV.
Oh, because X Factor's
Yes.
on, is it? There won't be another series of Top Gear this year.
And Clarkson said there's a rumour in internet land, which I enjoyed.
That's deliberately playing the...
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can be avuncular if he needs to. I saw the article. It's got the picture of the 3 presenters.
Oh,
Yes.
lovely.
And when I was watching it, I realised I, too, was wearing jeans and a dress shirt. And I thought,
Oh, no.
I may, I'm not sure, I may take my own life. It was something I toyed with, but I came through it.
You don't have a fraying boot cut or a thigh-length leather, Richard Hammond style.
But
That's not
even
meant to be
so, I
thigh-length.
felt, if I'd have stepped into the back of that photo shoot, I don't think I would have looked out of place, and that is not
Oh,
good, is it?
dear. No. But I like the fact that Clarkson is blaming Cowell for the fact that there's just a sniff of denial about it, isn't there? It's
It
not like that the
surprises
program's
me,
lost its way and that even the people that used to like it now increasingly hate it.
But is it? I thought it was still massively popular, Tom.
Well,
Who do you think looks worse in the dress shirt out of the 3? I think James
sorry,
May-
this show ends at 10 o'clock.
I think James May looks a bit sexual reassignment
James
surgery.
May likes a floral shirt,
Yes.
I've noticed. As if to say, don't lump me with these other 2. I'm not anti-Mexican, or
Yeah.
I'm not anti-trade union. I'm the sensitive one.
I'm arty.
Of the 3. I've got slightly longer hair, some of you may have noticed, and I'll go for a floral shirt. However, you'll get the same bullet they get.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
So,
We were talking about BGT.
Britain's Got Talent, yes.
Yes.
Britain's Got Talent.
And the creepy dog. with the pink skin
And
exposed.
the Cowell Clarkson
Yes.
war. I don't know if you've seen the.
I'm with Clarkson.
I love that you've taken that position.
I am not.
I've
I couldn't
decided.
like Cowell more now that he's keeping Clarkson off the telly.
No,
Are you with Clarkson simply because, be honest, you worry you looked a bit like him in the jeans?
No, I'm with Clarkson, which is not a thing I would normally say. I'm with Clarkson because the other night, Simon Cowell said, I don't normally like comedians. And I thought that says something about someone's soul who says, I don't normally like comedians. I was in a place called The Barn, a club in Birmingham once.
Lovely.
And there was a guy on, he went very well, but there was a guy on the adjoining table. And they said, did you not like it, Bob? And they said, no, Bob, he doesn't, he don't like comedians. He said, no, I don't find them funny, comedians. Don't like them. And I thought, well, why continue to exist? Bob.
I've said the same thing to myself many a time.
Yeah. No, but I don't... So that's what he says. I don't know. And the thing is, he was praising a comedian who was so rubbish.
Oh, who?
A
Cowell?
Latvian guy, yeah.
Oh,
he liked
yeah.
him because he wasn't like a proper
He's
comedian.
a bit different.
I just thought, no, I'm not having that. No.
Well, I haven't seen
No.
Okay, so we're Team
haven't seen
Clarkson, which is an extraordinary
Also,
turn of events.
this is I worry myself with this, but it started to get to me a bit that there was people on Britain's Got Talent that weren't from Britain.
Oh.
Now,
that
that
seems-
sounds a bit BMP,
Cab
doesn't it?
driver, anyone?
But it's
I
in
know,
the
exactly.
title. It's
And-
in the title, you're right, though.
It's like Roy Hodgson saying, actually, I quite like the look of this Lionel Messi. What do you think, guys?
We've got a gap there. We could put
Yeah,
him
let's
in.
do it. Yeah, he's got no R's in his name. It's perfect. Yeah, I think my main problem with it is what I like about Britain's Got Talent is it's got a sort of Wicker Man feel to it. There's an
Okay.
idea of that part of England on the outskirts of town, where the strange people live. That's that where
And now these
Where-
Latvians are coming in, taking our ridicule.
Yeah, I think that they've slightly spoilt that weird English. I'm not saying troubled people necessarily, but people of an odd nature.
We're talking Subo.
I don't know if I want to include Subo because she, of course, had the voice of an angel.
But the Clarkson versus Cowell thing reminds me of many years ago. I was in an estate agent's, and the boss estate agent ran in and went, "The traffic wardens are outside!" And all of the estate agents in the shop jumped up and ran out to move their cars off double yellow lines or whatever. And I was struck by how at that time it was like the battle of some of the least popular people in society, estate agents versus traffic wardens, and since then it's been superseded by greedy politicians and bankers, but the battle of Cowell versus Clarkson could really be like...
I thought you were going to say the traffic wardens turned out to be a boy band, and they were just racing out.
They won the X
I like it
Factor
when
the
Al
following
does
year.
this is Ben Elton bit he does.
No, I'm
He
not.
gets a bit anti-establishment, I like it.
I think that's anti-establishment. Who's the establishment? Clarkson or Cowell? Who is it?
He's a
that's
bit
the
of a
establishment?
satirist. On the quiet.
You think so?
I see you more as a social commentator than
Well,
anything
you
else.
know, I can...
Okay, it's mainly about sandwiches, but it can spread.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had what I think might be possibly the most Midlands text we've ever had, which is play some Alex Harvey, Frank, Yvette and West Brom.
Well, I need more notice.
Oh, yeah, it's not that kind of freestyling.
No.
I'm allowed two of my own tracks an hour, and the rest are off the Absolute playlist, where I'm sad to say Alex Harvey does not dwell.
We have
But I'll
another
give you a
text.
quick burst. Let me put my hands on you. Let me put... Sal Clementson there on lead guitar.
Nice. When we had another text on the subject of throwouts, people catching things thrown into the crowd. When I was a kid, my dad caught a throwout from Ken Dodd. It was some pastry at a pantomime in Stoke. He promptly threw it straight back and hit Ken in the face.
What?
To a round of applause and a bow from Ken. Good for Ken.
Ken took it well.
That's great, I think. You know,
I'd like to hear the sound effect of pastry hitting Ken Dodd in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh!
that's it.
That'll be that.
Great.
A pasty would have more impact than that,
One
Frank.
take wonder.
No, it wasn't pastry, it was
is it-
pastry.
Oh, I never know the difference between pies.
Well,
Too
one
carby
is...
for you, innit?
Anyway,
One is carb, the other is carb.
exactly. Mark Crossley is coming up next. You can download the Not the Weekend podcast from Wednesday. We've decided to make it a Sony free zone because last time, we won. We crowed about the fact we won, and people said, I expect a certain bit more humility.
It's ungallant.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I had to go to confession that week. I know there's not enough people on commercial radio talking about going to confession. Do you find that? Why would that be? I can't imagine it. Anyway, on that subject, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we will be back this time next week. Thank you so much for listening. We love you all. Goodbye.
This is
Frank Skinner